I would like to say thank you for the responses to a post about an article that included violently racist commentary towards people of color in this country, the United States of America. Although there were not images of the people that were speaking on their CB radios at a political rally, I am pretty sure that the people in the audio were all white, and this was in America. This video and accompanying audio was recorded as a political rally on Saturday, July 30th, 2016, the month we celebrate this country's independence. It starts with the rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner, which I've just recently been informed has slave references. I guess I need to revisit those last few stanzas. The audio of which I post opens with a man asking the others in the convoy, trucks, pickup trucks, motorcycles,
what do you guys think about Barack Obama?
Fucking nigger.
Some stated that Black Lives Matter people isn't thought about because black lives don't matter to them.
I don't think about Black Lives Matter because it doesn't really matter at all to me.
They're goddamn terrorists.
They use phrases such as,
lynch the niggers by their dicks.
all I know is we've got plenty of trees to hang niggers from. And my favorite sentence,
burn every single nigger.
Yep, that's the one that got me. But there was much more than that. They suggested how many different ways they can use blacks as a piñata.
Don't worry, I got the lynching rope, I got the handcuffs, I got the taser.
All of them interjected what tools that they had to use to make piñatas out of blacks.
Hang them with all their EBT cards.
I got 10 gallons of gasoline in the bed of my truck.
And of course there was thrown in the old standard black joke.
Black people are great, I think everyone should own one.
That's Austin Blair, former governor of Michigan, affectionately known as the Civil War governor. You should check him out. He's kind of a big deal.
We gotta goddamn shoot all those goddamn Black Lives Matter.
I'm black in America. I don't want to be anything else. I never thought I should leave this place and permanently live anywhere else. I've never thought about denouncing my citizenship. What has helped me have a desire to stay here is because people lose their lives every day to come to America, to come to the land of the free and the home of the brave, to come to a land of opportunity, a land where everyone is created equal. Yet, what I've learned is that not everyone is created equal. I've lived a blessed life here. I've met and I know wonderful people of all shades. Personally, I'm not afraid to travel anywhere in this country. However, I do travel aware. When I was in college, a Caucasian co-ed asked me if I was willing to travel to North Carolina to pick up a sailboat and bring it back to Michigan. I asked her who else would be going. She replied it would be just the two of us.
Don't worry, I got the lynching rope, I got the handcuffs, I got the taser.
Without hesitation, I declined the offer. I wanted to go. I would have enjoyed going. And it wasn't even about a romantic notion. I just like an adventure. However, I'm not that adventurous to travel with a white woman that I barely knew to the south and then return with a sailboat. That was just drawing too much attention to the fact that I took a woman across county lines and might get brought up on charges of kidnapping. And that would be mild compared to what was the worst that could happen. I sure as hell didn't want to end up as some strange fruit hanging in a tree in North Carolina. I lived there. My memories of North Carolina North Carolina made me fearful for once. She pleaded for me to go, and I just kept saying no. She, white woman, didn't understand why. It was a holiday weekend. Why couldn't we just go? We'd be back in time for classes on Tuesday. This is the Remembrance Memorial, right in the heart of downtown Lansing.
All I know is they got plenty of trees to hang niggas from, so let's get them Black Lives Matter motherfuckers out here.
And that's just one example of many about trying to explain why it's so exhausting to constantly having to be carrying around the color of my skin in the United States of America. Someone in the responses stated that she was afraid to listen to the audio. My response was that she had a choice to listen to this. I don't have a choice. I can't turn it off. I can't turn off my ears and just choose not to hear some disparaging words. It's a constant fight. It's a constant battle of like always seeming like the forces are against you just to live a normal everyday life. Downtown Lansing on a day much like today, beautiful day. I was having a good meeting day. I was working. Coming up South Washington Square, I was behind this van, and this van was looking for a parking space. It was a busy lunch afternoon, and they were looking for a parking space, and they slammed on the brakes a couple of times. No road rage. I was having a beautiful day. Windows were down, listening to some good music on my way to a meeting with a friend of mine, and they slammed on their brakes a couple more times. No big deal. And then they stopped the vehicle, and I was kind of close, and they started putting it in reverse, so I tapped the horn on my car. And then they went in a little reverse a little bit more. I had nowhere to go. They finally stopped after I tapped the horn again, but then they laid on the horn. I'm just, in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm just trying to keep you from running into my car that you obviously don't see. Then the van pulled into a different parking space to the right. The gentleman got out of the passenger side of the vehicle. The female got out of the driver's side of the vehicle and started going to the bank. Guy comes up to my car as I'm still parked on Washington Square because the light had turned red and I wasn't able to go. Started yelling at me through my open window. And he said things like, you need to learn how to fucking drive. I'm going to kick your fucking ass. And then he looked down at me and looked back up, you fucking nigger. So I reacted. That hurt. Pulled into a parking space, got out of my car, stood in the middle of the street, in between the double yellow line, raised my hands up in the air, and looked at the vehicle and was like, come on. That's when I paused for a moment. I looked behind me, and there were people out on the sidewalk having lunch, and it was a young white couple, and I looked directly at the gentleman that was looking at me. And as soon as we caught gaze, he turned and looked away. And I thought to myself, when the police arrive, this story is going to be completely different by the bystanders than what's going to come out of my mouth. So I took all that negative energy, held on to it, put it in, got into my car, held back my tears, and went to the next meeting. That's being accosted that day hurt me, and that pain did not go away for a solid month, and it still affects me today. So currently I'm at the corner of Howard and Grand River, and just south of this was a restaurant called the Windmill Restaurant, and it's where a cousin and I used to come to after hanging out in East Lansing, going to the bars and stuff like that, and we used to slide our way into the Windmill Restaurant and grab something to eat. And one night in particular, as the both of us were trying to enter the restaurant, there were several men trying to leave, and one of the gentlemen said to my cousin that we weren't allowed to eat there. And so my cousin asked him why, and the gentleman said, no blacks allowed. And so he, who's normally able to talk his way out of everything, got into a discussion with that gentleman, and then the 3 other gentlemen proceeded to start hitting me and beating me, and they knocked me down to the ground, and they were kicking me and stomping on me for several minutes until I guess somebody was able to stop the fight. In that instance, there was a lot of disparaging words, a lot of name calling. And the only thing I remember is just being called a nigger and that we weren't allowed to eat there. When the police arrived on the scene, they looked at me and said I had to go to the hospital in the ambulance. Not having insurance at the time and not really having a lot of funds, I did not want to go to the hospital, especially in an ambulance, but they said I was either going to be arrested and go, or I would have to go on my own accord. I took off, but luckily there was a nice police officer that took mercy on me, and he said, look, we're gonna have to get you to the hospital one way or the other, and he was willing to put me in his car and take me there. So that was a big favor. I don't hate cops. There's some good people out there all the time. Just sometimes bad things happen. That's one instance that I always remember when I'm going through life and entering any building. City of Howell, Michigan. I grew up in Oscoda, and the first thing that I learned about living in the East Lansing area was don't go to Howell. And then later, when I met people from Howell, they said don't go to Pinckney. To me, I had no reason to go to either until there was this auction for KKK stuff. They had KKK robes and knives and books and all kinds of stuff that I guess it takes to be a KKK member and have KKK rallies. And there was an auction a few years back at Hammer Time Auction House located right inside of Howell. And Samori, my best friend, blood brother, and I took a trip to Howell because I wanted to hold in my hand a piece of history and not just see it in a museum, and so I could say to future people, or if I ever have children, that this isn't just a ghost, this isn't just a boogeyman, these things actually existed. And it was a perfect example of my mother saying to me, you're too dumb to not know when you're not supposed to do something. And that came to realization when a person that was in the auction house won a particular item, and it was a knife. And me just being purely excited about this event, this gentleman dressed in all black, black boots, black jeans, black jacket, black shirt, and just had this fierce look on his face. I was looking at the knife, didn't see the man, and asked if I could see the knife. And I can't emulate it, and I never have since this happened, but the power of his no, just simply staring at me with hate in his eyes and punching me in the gut with his no, made me realize I was in a room full of people that just didn't like me for the color of my skin. And it made me remember, well, not that I forgot, but it changed my perspective. And Samori was outside the house where the auction was taking place. And my first thought was, I needed to get this man home to his wife, to his kids, because our safety, I felt for our safety, and I needed to make sure that he was able to get home to his family. So I didn't leave immediately, but I got what I needed to get, got out of there, and got out of Howell that night as fast as we could. I don't hate anyone. I don't hate any race. But white people, you have to start understanding it's difficult to not be white in the United States of America. And in my mind, historically, it makes absolutely no sense to me. The same types of people that call African Americans or blacks niggers are the same types of people that brought Africans or blacks to this country. And unless you are a Native American or a Mexican, none of y'all or none of us are from this land. You came here, you made a hostile takeover, you made the rules, and you created the system. But somewhere along the line, the system for you backfired. Or maybe it transcended. But damn it, There are people out there that are violently holding on to something that is incomprehensible to me. Why do you hate me for something that I did not do in any way, shape, or form? I didn't choose this. I was not somewhere picking out skin pigmentation and choosing to be this way. But yet, by the audio of this video that you see, if you see me in the neighborhood, you have a taser, you have ropes, you have handcuffs, you have zip ties, you have 10 gallons of gasoline. That is an exhausting way to live. I need you, allies, to understand. Sometimes I don't want to be asked black questions. Sometimes I don't want to relay what it's really like to be black. Because there's no real explaining it. There's only living it. See, your privilege is that you have to decide to learn. Which is good. Thank you. But it's still a choice. I don't have a choice. I have to learn to survive. I have to minimize my opportunity to be called names, to be beat up, or to hang from a tree after being tortured or burned alive. That's the reality of brown in the United States of America. So if you say you don't see color, I need you to open your eyes and start seeing that you have a choice. I don't. And if you are truly an ally, silent protests are no longer accepted. You have to say something. You have to do something. You have to start seeing color and acting with empathy. It will be uncomfortable. It will hurt. It may cause you anguish. It may cause you to cry unexpectedly. Then and only then will you have a little taste of what people that look like me have to navigate through on a daily basis. Go with love, but recognize you have to sometimes fight for righteousness. All men are not created equal. To those that show disgust in my honor, love, and support, I wholeheartedly thank you from the bottom of my soul. I love you all, but can you do me a favor? The next time you see someone doing some disparaging shit, please act. We are at a crossroads, people. Decades ago, I used to tell people that we're approaching a civil war. People used to scoff me. Amado Diallo, Manuel Loggins Jr., Ronald Madison, Kendra James, Sean Bell, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Alton Sterling. Think about how you would feel if you did nothing and you woke up one morning and my name was added to that list. Behind me is the Hall of Justice. The Hall of Justice. Just us. Then there was that time in Ionia where I was working at a pizza place and I was going to the store just to get a pop and somebody yelled out from their car, "Nigga!" Then there was that time I was at my job and I made fun of somebody, their feelings got hurt, and he went to the only other black person and called me a fucking nigga. Then there was that Lisa that was at my job for 10 years that just gave me strife, made my life a living hell, made my workplace stressful and intolerable. Then there was that time that 4 blacks were in a car and I had a white woman in the car with me and they wanted to kick my ass. Then there was that time I worked at an embroidery shop for a manager and she got me fired. Then there was that time, well, every time I tell people I work in a fancy restaurant, "Oh, do you work in the kitchen?" And I'm like, "No." And I don't play basketball and I don't play football, but I can sing and I can rap, dance, and yeah, I got a really big...
Well, burn every single nigger!